Colin Barnett, thanks for your time tonight.
Very good to be with you, Brian, and good evening.
You're the Premier of Western Australia, aren't you, of course?
I am, and very proudly so, Brian. Greatest place in the world, Western Australia.
Going very well, isn't it?
It's going beautifully. It's going absolutely beautifully at the
Is
moment.
Western Australia still there?
Is it still there?
Yeah.
Well, the majority of it's still there, yeah.
Well, you're exporting quite a lot of it.
We are exporting, a lot. We've got rid of an area about the size of Honduras, Brian.
But it's very big, isn't it, Western
It's a
Australia?
huge place. There's tons of it out there. It goes on till morning out there.
Yeah, and it goes to China and India.
A lot of it does, which is, of course, why we're the most successful economy in the world.
It is. And it's one of the reasons Australia's come through the GFC so well, isn't it?
Well, it is. I mean, you blokes would be at the airport selling trinkets if it weren't for us, wouldn't you?
Now, Colin Barnett, there have been reports that business leaders can have access to you for $25,000. Is that right?
Well, yeah, look, this is partly fundraising, Brian, but to be fair, it's the sort of thing you do anyway in an economical river of a joint like Western Australia. It's what you do anyway in order to stay in touch, Brian, with business leaders, with industry heads and with people who know what's going on.
But do the poor have access to you?
The poor?
Yeah.
Well, everyone has access to me, Brian. I'm the Premier of Western Australia. Everyone has access
But
to me.
how do the poor secure meetings with you?
A meeting?
Yeah.
Well, you know, business leaders are paying 25 grand.
Well, the poor clearly don't have 25 grand.
That's right, Brian. I appreciate that. Nobody could appreciate that more than I do. If they had 25 grand, they wouldn't be the poor.
Exactly. So what do they do?
Oh, 24 grand?
24?
Talk to the secretary. We'd work something out. We're not unreasonable here, Brian.
Sure. What if they didn't have any money?
Lay-by. There are lay-by arrangements, Brian. We don't need it all now. You know, you can put something down and then knock a little
Sort
bit
it
off
later.
each month. Yeah.
Colin Barnett, do you think that charging people to have access to a democratically elected leader is a contradiction in terms?
No, I don't, Brian. Democracy is government by the people, and obviously business leaders are people.
Yeah, so are the poor, aren't they?
They are, but they're not doing a lot of governing, Brian. It's government by the people.
But isn't that why the poor need representation?
Well, they've got representation. That's not the issue.
Well, shouldn't they have equal representation?
Equal to the people who can afford to pay for better representation.
Yes.
Well, there goes your market, Brian. I mean, you're very hard to maintain price if you photograph giving your product away.
Yeah,
I mean,
but what happens if the poor don't have any money? What do they do?
If the people who want to have a meeting don't have any money?
Yeah.
This is in Western Australia?
Yeah.
Unlikely, Brian.
Well, OK, let's...
It's going pretty well in
hypothetically, if they did.
Well, I mean, you know, if there was special pleading involved,
what's
maybe...
What's the best you could do?
23 grand. Maybe breakfast.
Yeah, at the airport.
At an airport. Cup of coffee, bit of a muffin, a few grievances, and I really must go.
Right.
We could have a croissant, one of those...
croissant?
Pardon?
Croissant?
Where?
No. Colin Barnett, thanks for your time.
Oh, good to see you, Brian.